have 10 million people that came across our southern border illegally, and that's not including the gotaways. They have no problem with that. People can just invade our country, break our immigration laws, no problem. But then if you take those people that came in the last 3.5 years and you said, okay, you broke the law, now you have to go back because you broke the law and you came en masse to our country, then all of a sudden they clutch their pearls in horror. Are you kidding me?
In this video, Tomi Lahren joins a panel of Piers Morgan Uncensored with beta Brian Tyler Cohen. What did Tomi Lahren and Brian Tyler Cohen debate? You guessed it, Donald Trump being a fascist for wanting to close the border. With that, let's watch Tomi Lahren annihilate this fruitcake, Brian Tyler Cohen.
Y'all need to hear it.
I think you're completely right. Brian, it seems to be a question of unity. One trick that Kamala Harris missed in her speech, it was not a bad speech at all. But one thing she didn't do, she didn't allude to the assassination attempt on Trump. And it's only been 9 days since someone tried to murder Donald Trump and actually shot him in the ear, killing him by 1/4 of an inch. Would it not have been a smart move in between calling him, you know, a sexual predator and a con man and a fake and blah, 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 very ad hominem stuff? Would it not have been a smart move in terms of unity had she just taken a moment to acknowledge the assassination attempt and say how pleased she was that he survived it, something of that nature?
Piers, I find it so bizarre that the onus is always on the Democrats, it's always on the adults in the room to create unity. Where was everybody for the last 6 years calling for unity when Donald Trump was president? And, you know, as far as the violence is concerned, I feel like any effort to try to pin, again, the onus on Democrats in terms of lowering the temperature in this country is just a testament to the fact that the Republicans are graded on the curve. Remember, it was not the Democrats, while we're talking about political violence, it wasn't the Democrats who laughed at Paul Pelosi being bludgeoned with a hammer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for military tribunals for Liz Cheney. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't.
It's such a simple question. Like, why can't anyone just be honest? The question is, hey, someone made an attempt on the ex-president's life. Don't you think it would be a good idea for Kamala Harris to speak about it, denounce it? Wouldn't that be a good idea? The answer is yes. Yeah, I mean, I know you're arguing for a side, but no one can have any respect for you if you're not just honest with basic questions. You could say, yeah, I think that could have been helpful. You know, she didn't do it, but yeah, you know, I think that would have been helpful for people to realize, hey, there's some things that are bigger than politics. But he can't. He has to immediately whine as if the Democrats are the party of turning down the temperature, the party that calls all of the Trump supporters Nazis, racists, calls Trump everything under the sun, which is just fear-mongering. I mean, that's as dangerous as it can get. It is just fear-mongering about somebody unnecessarily and scaring Americans. Since when has your party turned down the temperature? Are you kidding me? Your party was the one that had leaders within the party encouraging people to burn down cities. I'm not saying that figuratively. I'm saying it literally. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. It's your party that doesn't denounce things that they've encouraged go wrong, like rioting. Everyone on the right, I literally haven't seen one person on the right say, hey, what happened on January 6th was great. People are just honest. Like, it was stupid. Now, we don't go along with your narrative that it was some diabolical attempt to take over the government. But we say it was stupid. We don't condone violence, especially against police, against anybody. We don't condone committing crimes, you know, but they can never do that. He immediately has to act like Democrats are victims somehow. Like, why do we always have to turn down the tone? Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Democrats who laughed at a kidnapping plot against Gretchen Whitmer. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who called for General Mark Milley to be executed. That was Donald Trump. It wasn't Democrats who posted a baseball bat photo with Alvin Bragg and threatened death and destruction if he was charged. So in all of these examples, Piers, it is not the Democrats who've done this. It's not the Democrats who've validated the use of political violence as a tool in this country. And it shouldn't be on the Democrats all of a sudden to be the adults in the room.
All right, Brian. To a point, Lord Copper, as we would say in the UK, right? It is the Democrats who for 8 years have screamed that he's Adolf Hitler. That's fairly violent rhetoric. You're comparing him directly to an absolute genocidal maniac who murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. So when you do that, that is violent rhetoric.
Piers, if Donald Trump acts like a fascist, it is not the Democrats' fault for calling him a
Well,
fascist.
you're saying he is,
That
he
his
is
behavior.
Hitler? He is Hitler?
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying he does act like a fascist. He does want to consolidate power in the executive branch. He does want to send the military into American cities. He does
So you
want
have
to
no
terminate
problem
the
comparing him
Constitution.
to Adolf Hitler?
I am calling him a fascist. That's what I'm doing.
I'm convinced Piers just has idiots like this guy on their show just because they know they'll say stupid things like these. I'm not calling him Hitler. I'm calling him a fascist. Okay, that's much better. What has he done that's similar to a fascist? You take his words out of context. Maybe I'm missing something. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. He threatened to execute Mark Milley. What are you talking about? The worst argument that you hear from them all the time about this violent rhetoric, it shows how little they have to attack Republicans with when it comes to talking about, violent rhetoric. They always bring up Paul Pelosi. Okay. I don't condone anyone attacking anyone else, breaking into someone's home. Okay. You're probably right. There were probably people who chuckled at it and laughed at it. That's not appropriate. It's insensitive, maybe rude. It's not violent. No one said, hey, that was a great idea. Everyone go do more of it. It's such a stupid argument. God, I got to chill out. Just reiterating my point I made a little while ago. This is just more evidence that these idiots just want to win the debate. They don't want to be honest and have just an honest conversation. I mean, the examples he gives are so stupid. And he says he acts like a fascist. You don't have any evidence of that. You manipulate his words, take them out of context to make it sound like what you need it to sound like to fit your narrative. Shut up, Brian Tyler Cohen. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Tommy, it does make me laugh when I hear Anthony talk about fascism, and one of the criteria is mass deportation, and then he salutes Barack Obama for being the greatest
of a bunch of
for being
police
the
officers
greatest
to walk the street. Don't misquote me,
talking to
Piers.
Tommy, for being the biggest mass deporter in the history of the United States in terms of any president, which he was. 3 million people he deported, right? So mass deportation is fascism if Trump plans it, but if it's done by Barack Obama, it is a magnificent thing which Trump should aspire to do. I can't quite follow that, can you?
Well, liberalism doesn't make sense, Piers. We know that. But I'll also say the majority of the American people support mass deportation, including Democrats. We learned about that a couple months ago in a poll. But what I don't understand with Democrats is that they're just clutching their pearls over a mass deportation effort.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
When we have 10 million people that came across our southern border illegally, and that's not including the gotaways, they have no problem with that. People can just invade our country, break our immigration laws, no problem. But then if you take those people that came in the last 3.5 years and you said, okay, you broke the law, now you have to go back because you broke the law and you came en masse to our country, then all of a sudden they clutch their pearls in horror. Are you kidding me? That's what we need to do, because your president, your sleepy president, allowed 10 million plus people in, and it's not sustainable. Your own governors and your own mayors know that it's not sustainable. So the open border doesn't work. And the only way to fix an open border is to close it and then also deport the people that came in under it. That's just basic logic. I know you guys don't operate on that, but please save me your horror and your outrage.
Tomi Lahren brought it home there perfectly. First of all, she's right that the Democrats do not work out of logic. It's all about feelings. And this Brian Tyler Cohen guy, I don't even know if he believes half the crap he says. It's just obviously pandering to a certain insane part of the population. But to act like it's violent rhetoric to enforce the law by sending people out of our country that came here illegally, just because Biden's administration didn't enforce the law doesn't mean it shouldn't be enforced. This guy's an idiot. Oh, and by the way, I just figured it out. I don't know if you heard that voice in the background. He's one of the most annoying, douchey human beings on earth. It was Anthony Weiner. Remember that guy who got busted not once, but 3 times for sending pictures of his Johnson to underage girls? I don't know if all of them were underage. At least one of them was. But the guy was even given like a second chance and still couldn't stop himself from sending pictures of his undercarriage to women. The party really is just filled with a bunch of degenerates. But we want to hear from you. What do y'all think about this conversation between Tomi Lahren and Brian Tyler Cohen over violent rhetoric, the southern border? Let us know. Anyway, as always, we really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.